The Springfield Fair starts this Friday and runs September 1st through the 4th. Now, in concert Sunday night, you've seen him in Season 10 of The Voice. Country sensation Adam Wakefield will be live in concert. Adam is joining me now on the phone. Adam, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Greg. Appreciate it.
Hey, man, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to give us a call. Now, I believe you're from New Hampshire, Plymouth, isn't it?
Yep, Plymouth, New Hampshire.
Yeah, now, have you ever been to Maine before?
I have, yeah. I've been up there in the summertime to, my dad had a beach house up there for about a year or two and went up there, and it was great, man. It was so much fun. I mean, water's a little chilly in the summertime. But,
yeah, it certainly can be.
but it was fun, man. I've always had a good time. Funny story about Maine. I used to go up there, went up there in the summertime, went up one year and found this giant starfish, and I was like, yeah, and I pulled it out and I showed my dad and I brought it back and I was like, look at this starfish. He's like, oh, it's dried out and everything. Come to find out, apparently it was like the family starfish. The people that used to come, all the families that would come up there. It was like had a name and everything, and apparently I pulled it out and killed it, and everybody's all mad at me.
Well, stuff like that does happen. But hey, it was cool with the moment, I imagine.
Hey, I didn't know. How am I supposed to know this was a family starfish?
Absolutely.
Big old starfish, and I'm figuring I'm taking it home with me.
Now you're living in Nashville now, is that correct?
Yep, Nashville, Tennessee. Been there about 4 years.
How does that compare to living up here in New England?
Man, it's definitely a lot different. I mean, I lived, across the street from a farm that I worked on when I was a kid, and I went from a town of probably 2,000 people to Nashville, which is about at this point I think 700,000 or 800,000 people.
Oh wow, yep.
Yeah, I mean it's great, man. I honestly until I moved to Nashville, I didn't know where I needed to be to kind of make things happen for my music career. So it was kind of took me a while to get down there, but once I got there, things seemed to pop off pretty quick for me, thankfully.
Now, I think you started playing music at a young age. How old were you when you first started playing?
I started playing piano when I was 4.
Wow.
Actually. I started because I I remember being in show and tell when I was in elementary school and seeing there was a couple girls that came in and would play piano, and I remember just being like, these girls are not good at piano. I know it's way better than them, so I remember telling my mom at my brother's Little League game. It's so funny how you remember these random things. But I remember telling him at one of my brother's Little League games that I wanted to learn how to play piano. We had piano and records, and that was about it in my house. So
right.
Pretty much learn how to play piano or, go outside.
Now, I'm sure this is not the first time you've heard this question, but it's the first time I've gotten a chance to ask it. So what was it like being on a show like The Voice?
Well, man, it was pretty surreal. I mean, especially for, a country boy from New Hampshire. I mean, it was go from a town of 2,000 people where I kind of know about half the people to being in front of millions of people on TV. It's pretty surreal. But man, I just tried to have fun with it. I mean, I was 33, 34 when I did the show. And, I've been doing music for 20 years at that point. So for me, when I went on the show, I was just kind of like, let's try and get on there and just kind of do what I do, what I've been doing and rely on my experience and, kind of all the homework I've put in musically and try and just have fun with it. And that's what I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it must have been pretty cool having, you being a country guy, it must have been pretty cool having somebody like Blake Shelton as your coach. Talk about that.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, the dude, he's like a walk-in jukebox, man. I mean, the dude knows everything. Every once in a while, like one of the weeks, we get stumped as far as like trying to find songs. I mean, he would pull out, I remember he pulled out this one Ronnie Millsap song. I was like, how did you even think of this song? And he's like, oh, well, I used to listen to it a lot about 20 years ago. And I was like, how did you even remember that song? The guy's just got so much, knowledge when it comes to the country music genre. I mean, he knows everybody. So it was great having him on my team because we really got to pick the exact right songs for me to sing on the show.
I was checking out a bunch of your stuff. Of course, Blame It On Me. Is that your big single right now?
Yeah. Blame It On Me. It's the one that we put out about a month and a half ago. It's been doing pretty good. It's kind of my aspiration is to put out some music that's a little left to center, maybe try and get some variety on country radio. I mean, I think, everybody loves to have the discussion about the state of country music today and all that kind of thing. And I don't want to get involved in any of that. I like all kinds of music. I think for me, I just want a little more variety on radio. So I'm trying to provide that for folks, I guess.
Absolutely. Let's see, you did 7 Spanish Angels. I love that one. I loved your version of that one. That was a good one.
Thank you.
And you also Soul Shine. That was phenomenal as well. That was a good one. What's your favorite song to perform? Do you have one?
My favorite song to perform, man. It's tough. I get this question a lot. It's always hard to It's always hard to answer it just because a lot of times my favorite song to perform is something that's new, something that we haven't done a lot, just because there's an energy to songs and there's an energy in the band when you're playing something that everybody hasn't played already. You know what I mean? It's almost like falling in love with a girl or something, you know, like it's always the best right in the beginning when it's new and fresh. So, I mean, I guess that's it. I mean, there's some songs that have been tried and true. Soul Shine's one of those tunes that I've always, you know, really gravitated towards. And I mean, I've been singing it for, you know, probably a decade now at this point, and I still don't get sick of singing it. So that's definitely up there on the list.
So do you have any, you know, specific musicians who really influence you and inspire you above all else, or?
Man, I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, for me, there were some big ones as far as singing. Ray Charles was up there for me. I was obsessed with Ray Charles for a long time, and you know, he's just got one of those timeless voices. So I think, you know, when we started with the band with a bunch of my buddies after I dropped out of college, back when I was, you know, 20, everybody decided I needed to sing. Then, you know, for me, it was I thought of the guys that had the most timeless, iconic voices. So people like Ray Charles and Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings and John Prine and just, you know, all these. I mean, I'm a musician at heart, so you know, I just try and listen to everything I can get my hands on and you know, kind of try and pick and choose from different people what I really like and try and incorporate that into my music.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. Is there anybody that you'd like to work with, that you'd like to do a song with?
Well, I mean, there's lots of folks out there. You know, I mean, I love Jason Isbell is one of my, you know, probably my favorite songwriter right now. He's great. I mean, Chris Stapleton obviously would be cool. My buddy Brent Cobb, I'd love to go do something with him at some point. There's a long list, man. I mean, I've had some really great opportunities, and you know, I was able to work with Alison Krauss and you know, and some other people, and Jamie Johnson and stuff. But I think you know, hopefully those opportunities will come popping up here again.
Cool, man. Well, so you're going to be playing Sunday night down to the Springfield Fair. I think 7:30. Is that when you take the stage, or is that when the whole thing kicks off?
No, I think that's when I go on. I'll be honest with you. I think. Don't quote me on that one.
Right. So what can folks expect to see from you when you hit the stage down at the fair?
Well, you know, honestly, I got one of the baddest bands in Nashville. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I've been in Nashville for about 4 years, and about 3 of those years I was a working musician, so I met a lot of guys. So, you know, for me, one of my favorite things about doing this thing is being able to pick put together one of the best bands
Sure.
I could out of Nashville. So the band's going to be great. I mean, we like to rock out. We'll turn our amps up and have fun. And I like to think we got a pretty tight show. It's fun. Won't be any like drum loops or special effects or anything like that. It's just going to be kind of me up there singing, playing guitar, and kind of letting the band loose on Springfield. I think, you know, that's kind of our thing.
Adam, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to talk to me and share some stuff with the listeners. We're really excited to see you perform Sunday night at the 167th Springfield Fair. So we will catch you Sunday night. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.